Welcome, everyone, to Monday Morning Morons for September 23rd, 2019. This week, let's begin with violent rhetoric. We hear so much about shutting down or deplatforming certain people because their language is like literally violence, right? Well, Union County High School teacher reportedly told students VP Pence should be shot in the head. But it's the right that needs to tone down their violent rhetoric, because words are like literally violence. A Union County high school teacher is under investigation after reportedly making threatening comments to a class of students saying the vice president should be shot. The Cuthbertson high school teacher called out VP Mike Pence while he was visiting North Carolina, allegedly telling her students he should be shot in the head. The Union County Sheriff's Office says it's passed this information along to the Secret Service to investigate. The teacher, who Fox 46 is not naming at this time, allegedly made the comments to students the same week the vice president was in town to campaign for congressional-elect Dan Bishop. See that? Not naming. Curious, wouldn't you say? They don't seem to have any qualms about naming anyone accused of racism or homophobia or whatever other brand of bigotry progressives decide they want to whinge about this week, but suggest graphic violence against a Republican? Shh! Keep that name on the DL, huh? Wouldn't want to incite the crazies or anything. Obeid, a parent of two Cuthbertson students, says, while he's not necessarily a Pence supporter, it's ridiculous to speak of shooting the VP. Affiliation to a specific party does not entitle us to make statements like that to anyone, said Obeid, especially when the statements were allegedly made to students. You should not be bringing in those types of viewpoints to your job, Union County GOP Chair Allison Powers said. Powers isn't going as far as asking for the teacher to be fired, but says she trusts the school board will take appropriate action. Not calling for this teacher to be fired? But I thought we had to silence and deplatform people with violent rhetoric. Could have sworn I heard that somewhere. School Board Chair Melissa Merrill did not return Fox 46 request for comment. District 3 Representative Gary Sides, however, posted on Facebook saying, I can assure you it will be taken seriously. And I can assure you it won't be. She'll get a stern talking to, maybe a couple of days paid vacation, and then everything will be right back to normal because she's one of the tolerant people. Next one, Bob. Student leaders fight heteronormativity at Notre Dame. You mean the Catholic school thinks heterosexuality is normal? You don't say. The University of Notre Dame, to this day, exclusively maintains single-sex dorms, with all-male and all-female residence halls at the 177-year-old Catholic institution. Now, its student body president has asserted the university's dorms wrongfully normalize heterosexuality over homosexuality. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's what your butt hurt about? Boys and girls not living together? Fine. You know what? Have it your way. From now on, boys and girls have to literally do everything together just to prove we're not homophobes. You thought living in the same building was progressive? Ha! Noob. From now on, boys and girls of every color, orientation, and made-up gender must live all together in the same room. Eat, sleep, study, shit, shower, all of it. No more walls, you bigots. Student body president Elizabeth Boyle told the College Fix in an interview her team is taking steps to address heteronormativity at the Catholic University's dorms. Heteronormative means denoting or relating to a worldview that promotes heterosexuality as the normal or preferred sexual orientation, according to the Oxford English Dictionary. Yeah. Do you by chance know why we more or less have a heteronormative worldview? Because heterosexuality is the fucking norm. Even by today's most likely bloated numbers because of your infinite gender bullshit, the total gay population is somewhere around 3 to 5% depending on the poll. Yet here you are trying to govern an entire society based on the 5%. Look, I'm not saying we should ignore the 5%. I'm not saying the 5% doesn't deserve basic human rights or that we should pray the gay away or any of that stupid shit. All I'm saying is, maybe trying to organize an entire society around a mere 5% of the population isn't the best plan. There's a difference between accepting that some people are different and forcing everyone else to be different. One leads to relative peace. The other does not. Okay, Bob, this one goes on for quite a while, but I think I've pretty much said all I need to say, so let's just move on. He questioned the accuracy of the 1619 project. A history professor responded with, "Your mom." What? As political polarization continues to worm its way into every facet of daily life, some academics have shown themselves unable to maintain decorum or even argue factually as they engage online. When their ideology or scholarship is contested on Twitter, they are prone to sling personal attacks rather than meaningfully rebut the challenges. The result is a meager dose of quality academic content for other social media users who learn that scholars are unwilling to defend their work. Well, to be fair, it is Twitter. Let's just say Twitter isn't exactly the place for robust academic debates or anything. That raises a question of professional ethics. Should bad behavior by academics be sanctioned or otherwise censured by academic groups? No. Academics are just as entitled to their free speech and opinions as anyone else. Maybe it sucks when you don't get that serious, well thought out and articulated discussion you were hoping for, but if you believe in free speech, you're going to have to tolerate loud, obnoxious, ignorant ass clowns too. Philip Magnus, an economic researcher and former history professor, alluded to this question when he reflected on Twitter exchanges with other academics following his criticism of the 1619 project by the New York Times. Interested in the sources that shaped the series of essays on the 400th anniversary of slaves arriving in America, Magnus posed several questions on Twitter about the scholarship of one of the contributors, Cornell University historian Edward Baptiste. Did enthusiasts of Baptiste's book on slavery and making of American capitalism, Magnus asked, know that Baptiste's statistics arose from a documented mathematical error, and that leading economic historians found he had misrepresented evidence and citations? Had Baptiste himself made any effort to respond to critics or correct his factual errors, which continue to be cited in the press, in academic works, and even in congressional hearings? Magnus is critical of Baptiste's rehabilitation of the King Cotton thesis, which holds that slave-produced cotton commanded and controlled position over the American economy and indeed the world's commercial engines. What Magnus received on Twitter, a "your mom" joke from a Howard University historian. A tweet citing the work of Ed Baptiste is alarming for whom, troll, wrote Ana Lucia Arroyo, whatever, however you pronounce her name. Subsequent tweets got more juvenile from there, as Magnus documented in an essay last month for the American Institute for Economic Research, where he's a senior research fellow. Now, we talked about this essay a few weeks ago, actually, where I pointed out that this guy, Magnus, had written a lengthy essay not only questioning some of the assertions made in the Times series, but outright debunking some of them. So I'm not going to rehash that whole thing in any detail, because that's really not the focus for this piece. The focus here is on how so-called academics interact when their so-called research is challenged by other academics. And what it shows us is really no big surprise for anyone who's been paying attention for the last 10 or 20 years. This new crop of so-called academics do not like to be challenged. They do not like when you question their work. Don't you find that odd for people who claim to be in search of the truth? When I research something, and I use that term rather loosely in my case, but when I'm looking for answers to a question I may have, and someone points out that maybe I've been looking in the wrong place or using sources that are incorrect, I don't get pissy and throw a hissy fit. I go look for newer and better sources. Why? Because I wanted the answer to a question. I was curious and looking for the truth. If someone noticed that I was wrong and pointed it out, then the proper response should be, "Thank you. I'll go back and look again." Why do I do that? Because I'm not a raving egomaniac totally convinced that I have all the answers. There's still like one or two things I don't know. Okay, toxic time, Bob. Chicago woman wore scream mask as she repeatedly stabbed female victim. A Chicago woman was held without bond Sunday after she allegedly stabbed another woman dozens of times while she wore a scream mask and repeated, "God is making me do this." Sure he is. The Chicago Tribune reported that Patricia Calhoun Murdoch allegedly attacked the victim 2 weeks ago in what a judge called a truly random act. She was arrested by U.S. Marshals after Chicago police said they determined that she was walking with a stolen Kindle from the 56-year-old victim's apartment. The victim remains in critical condition. The paper described a harrowing scene inside. The victim was asleep when she woke up to see the alleged attacker holding a knife and in the mask. The victim begged for her life but was stabbed at least 39 times, according to the report. She suffered slits to her throat and her heart was pierced. At one point, the victim tried to play dead, but was told by Calhoun Murdoch, "I can still hear you breathing." Play dead? Pierced heart, slit throat, stabbed 39 times, and the victim tried to play dead? That's a hell of a tough victim. A relative walked in on the scene and called for help. The paper reported that Calhoun Murdoch allegedly made an admission to police and said she had mental health concerns. Nah. Wearing a Halloween mask and stabbing someone 39 times because God told you to do it is totally a normal thing. I mean, that happened to me like 4 times just last week. Let's wrap it up, Bob. Oh, right. Was so impressed that the victim had survived that I totally forgot to blame men. Let's see. Well, there's only one male figure in this whole story, so I guess we have to blame the one and only patriarchal God. He exerted his will to control one helplessly oppressed woman and make her stab another oppressed woman. All right, now let's wrap it up. Seminary defends confessing sins to plants. Beautiful, moving ritual. Hail, spruce tree, full of grace, the oxygen is with thee. Holy daffodil, harbinger of spring, pray for us sinners who thoughtlessly cut the grass. Are you absolutely sure this isn't a cult? That's it for this week. Remember the social justice mantra: women are victims, men are oppressors, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.